Well, happy Thursday, church. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. When I grew up in church, at a young age, I learned this simple song called "This Is the Day." And the words of that song come straight from the Psalms. The lyrics go like this, say, "This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made." And it goes on and says, I will rejoice and be glad in it." And this is literally like the entire song. And so it gets caught in your head because it just repeats over and over again. And as someone who struggles with the condition of realism, some may say pessimism, this world can at times be overwhelming, and it can be so difficult to pause and so difficult for me to take the time to lift up my head and rejoice. Well, as I said, this refrain, this is the day that the Lord has made, let us rejoice and be glad in it. It comes directly from Psalm 118. And this verse comes towards the end of that psalm. It is preceded with all these statements about who God is and what he has done in the psalmist's life. Verse 1 of Psalm 118 reads, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His faithful love endures forever." I mean, what a statement. What a God we serve. So no matter what my life or my day looks like, I can rejoice in the Lord. No matter that I am in isolation, in quarantine, in social distancing, I can rejoice in the Lord because he is good, because his faithful love will endure forever. What a wonderful promise. Verse 5 reads, "I called to the Lord in distress, and the Lord answered me." We just spent a sermon on this topic, but no matter what my world looks like, no matter how it may be falling apart, no matter what the future holds, I can press pause, and I can rejoice because the God of the universe hears my cries. The God of the universe hears my prayers in times of distress, in times of plenty, and he answers me. What an incredible thing to rejoice in today. Verses 7 and 8 of Psalm 118 reads, "The Lord is my helper. It is better to take refuge in the Lord than to trust in man." I can rejoice today because the Lord is my helper and he is my refuge. When I look around, I see the frailty of this world. When I see the sinfulness and the struggles of man, I can rejoice because my refuge is not found in broken humanity, but my refuge is found in the Lord, who is an unfailing rock and refuge. But the main reason we can rejoice in the Lord even on our darkest and gloomiest days is found in verse 14. And verse 14 reads, "The Lord is my strength, and he is my song, for he has become my salvation." And as a follower of Jesus, I can rejoice in the Lord all day and every day because he is my salvation. Living on this side of the cross, we can rejoice all the more because we have a much more complete understanding and perspective on salvation. This salvation, this forgiveness that has been made available in Jesus. He has made us righteous. And as verse 15 says, we can shout with joy and victory because we have no longer been given over to death. In Jesus, there is victory and there is salvation for all that know him. I can rejoice and I can be glad in that. Because of who God is and the salvation and available in Jesus' life, in his death and his resurrection, every day there's a reason to rejoice. God has given you today. You may be in quarantine, but he's given you today. And if you are in him, he has given you salvation. And if you don't know him yet, there's great news because he's already paid the price for your sins. He loves you and he offers you salvation if you will humble yourself and surrender before him. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice. I'll be glad in it. My friends, life is overwhelming. It's full of unknowns right now. But the one thing that is certain is that the Lord is still on his throne. And if you are in him, then your salvation is secure and your eternity determined. Would you take some time today and throughout this week just to pause, to lift your heads and open your eyes to the reality that you have salvation in the Lord. You have forgiveness and new life in him. Because of that, you can give thanks. You can rejoice in the Lord no matter what is going on in your world. Well, I hope that's encouraging to you. It's encouraging to me. And it's a great reminder to take time to pause, to reflect, and to give thanks and rejoice in the Lord, for he is good and his love endures forever. We'll talk to you Sunday. Thanks for joining us today.